to believe it. If you live the dream for a second, it's going to make you gigantic people crazy. It'll take an awful long time. We're aware of that. We try to expedite the process by addressing validation in completely separate ways, because to some people it's all about what the world of science says, to some people it's all about, yeah, well, you know, there's a spinning plastic wheel on show somewhere, but someone put it in a product, you know. So there are different levels of proof that are necessary, and our job is to address all three of them. Now, have we put any of that in the public domain today? Absolutely not, no. But again, the reason to come here is really about to let you know, and you know, this is an engineering school, one we have huge respect for, that the process of us engaging in a very public manner with the engineering world starts next February. We don't expect engineers to just come in, so we'll be putting into the public domain an awful lot of other information that will at least say, maybe this is worth 10 minutes of my time today.
Another question?
Sorry, just with the compliance now, I was thinking about actually showing that it works.
Yeah.
It would seem to suggest that this compliance with the second law of thermodynamics as well, and there seems to be a decrease in entropy generated as well. And considering that the second law is a negative statement and you can't really disprove it analytically, so you're going to have to really show people.
I mean, you could take the same view that you can't disprove it, first off, because again, if you just for a minute look at some of the other potential thermodynamic issues that exist in science, the first law is never challenged. It just says we must have something else. You know, there must be this other quantity that must be there. And again, I don't want this to come out. I don't have any issue with that. That is a perfectly fair proposition to say the numbers don't add in this experiment. Therefore, the first recourse should always be to say, what have we missed? Yeah. But at some point, you also have to look at it in a different way.
Follow on. Has it ever worked outside your lab? Is there something weird going on in your lab?
Have you been in the lab? Have you? Could be just the drugs being pumped in the air conditioner. The answer is yes, but not for very long.
Any more questions here? Yep, there's two.
If you discovered a heat pump 300 years ago, and you put so much energy in, kinetic energy, there's more energy now, right? How would you know where does energy coming from? It's an interesting situation.
It's the first place we started. Again, I have to make this clear whether you believe this is not something we sat in the office one day and said, okay, let's build ourselves a perpetual motion tool. Okay, something where we started with literally one of those, excuse the expression, oh shit moments in the lab. There you go. Because the oh shit was we broke a really expensive test system. We didn't have any money to buy a new one, so you go some crap, yeah. But then we did exactly what we said, which is where is the energy coming from? So and ultimately in simple, relatively simple devices, very simple experiments, there's only so many places to hunt. The obvious place in any system like this is magnets themselves. Yeah, magnets contain energy, and they do suffer repetition effects and so on. So you can argue what's the natural state of entropy of a thermal magnet. Right? But what we found after millions and millions, I mean literally millions of transactions, absolutely no change in the domain energy of magnets, zero, nada. And you do the math, you find there's actually an awful lot of energy in a thermal magnet. In terms of its domain, now lots of other energies in materials, yeah, and you kind of think about, geez, hopefully Hans Weissman would be happy, but no. And then you've obviously got ambient heat, you've got electromagnetic interference, and all this stuff, vacuum chambers and Faraday cages and all this stuff. We went through a process long before we ever stuck our head above the parapet and went, hello. So we went through this process ourselves, a perfectly logical thing. You can take a view, and again, I don't mind being wrong about this, strangely enough. You can take a view that an awful lot of the other claim 0-point energy. Look at Tesla. You go back and he claimed that he saw some weird stuff, and he said, look, he's tapping the energy of the vacuum, and the talk is remarkably similar to what we now call dark energy, the 76% of the universe that should be there. So there's there is the big, petrol tank in the equation is dark energy. Now, is it a dark energy machine or not? I don't know. I mean, the reason we went for the claim of conservation of energy is the operating principle was time. Yeah, and so after we've gone full circle on this several times, we said, what are we really changing one experiment that's conservative to one that's non-conservative, all that we're changing the planet. And that's where we began to look into, you know, crazy things like the reprocessed and so on. Ultimately, you know, if you live the dream for a minute and say maybe this is true, you know, is time a form of energy? You know, but these things are beyond what we're interested in, to be very honest, you know.
Go on.
When you take negatives,
Yeah.
input and output energy,
Yeah.
are you making instantaneous or looking at time? Because you talk about phase difference between input and output.
Yeah.
So you're looking for the adding opportunity rather than what?
Yeah, we're not looking at power, because that's what you're talking about. We're looking, but equally you have to understand we don't test this in one way. We haven't over the however many years it is. You know, it's not that we have, you know, one test apparatus. I mean, we've tested this in a variety of ways, and it's been independently tested in a variety of other ways. You know, ways that we would. So, I mean, I'd hate to consider the number of test types and mechanisms and so on. I mean, what we have no doubt about is the excess energy. What we can't be 100% about is dark energy, 0-point energy, the source. And in a way, it makes no difference whatsoever to what we're trying to achieve. What we're trying to achieve is actually very simple. We want the product development community to engage and build products. And when they sell products, we make a few quid. That's the game that we're in. In terms of complexity, this is something that's really, this is not easy to do. I mean, this is incredibly difficult and incredibly complicated stuff to work with. And the only fair analogy I think that I can give it, and if you do get involved, you'll probably find out, it's kind of like building a hard disk drive. The kind of accuracies and tolerances and balances that are involved are very difficult. So if you do try to get involved, it's kind of like I say this, you know, virtually every engineer or scientist knows how a hard disk drive works. Very few of them walk into their garage and build one. But the challenges are not dissimilar. I mean, we've had to develop all kinds of other stuff around this to build real systems. You know, we've developed magnetic bearings and all kinds of, you know, stuff that we had to wrap around this to allow ourselves to reliably build and reproduce coins. So the engineering challenges are not in any way minuscule.
Right, we've got this question to you.
It's kind of 5 points here, and I'll try to be brief. I specialise in non-chemical water treatment, and I was using magnetic technology, physical means, and my colleagues in Austria have developed a technique for imparting into water, so water holds a liquid magnetic effect. And we use that in industry for treating water, and it actually aids the bacteria to clean the water, so that there's less dependence on chemicals. The interesting thing is that it appears that cells and also bacteria on their own are very much dependent on that electromagnetic field. So it's asking the question, some of the processes are obvious. Some of them, we as scientists think we know everything, and obviously you, people like me, whatever else like that, realise that there's other things out there, and there's loads to come across. But along with your own thoughts on perpetual motion, Tesla, as you're probably aware, he tested a car in 1930, and that was using gravitational energy, if I'm correct on the conversion. In 5,000 years ago, post-Atlantis, or around Atlantis, they were using levitational energy. And 5,000 years ago, same with Newgrange. So there's been an intelligence and an awareness, and we're currently focusing very much in this present day and age on centrifugal energy. But I'm just wondering where for yourselves, there's doubters out there, but I get bashed every day on water, so I'm encouraging you to come along, to keep going. But if Tesla was able to spot these other energies, and yet he proved he could take a car at 90 miles an hour, drive it for a week, and yet we do not see that technology.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, I don't mean to interrupt, I mean, the thing about, again, if you look, the history of this. And I didn't mention Tesla, because Tesla